your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God!
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on.
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There'll be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DiPrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
Love you. Love you.
First things first.
First things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in to First Things First with the Queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580, good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First, and my very first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And let's go. It is a Talking Point Tuesday. Talking points, anyone? I would love to hear from you, as always, every day when I'm on the air. The phone lines are open at 800-920-1580. And look, this is how we do the show on a Talking Point Tuesday. On hour 1, we look local, what's happening on the left coast. Hour 2, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive with a hot topic or person of interest. And I'm excited because today, Aloe Black will be joining me in the studio. He's an artist and an activist, an artivist, as they say, and just a great musician. Interesting, very fascinating person. So looking forward to that. He's also the author of our Reparations theme song, I Need a Dollar. And looking forward to that conversation, truly. We'll be joined in hour 2 by Dr. Melina Abdullah of Black Lives Matter Grassroots, fresh off her rather interesting, actually quite fascinating interview with Pastor Jamal Bryant on that podcast, and some repercussions, fallout, good things happening from that. She's also the host of Black Lives Matter LA, This Is Not a Drill, Saturday mornings on this show from 8 to 10. But we'll be talking about everything in the headlines, and you're invited to join in and chop it up with us. Want to thank James Farr of the Conversation Live Altadena Rising for filling in with me on yesterday, as I did a little nice day off, much needed day off. I'm not sure what discussion happened. I got some DMs. People thought I was in an emergency. No, all is well. Just living my best life a little bit around here. Got to go see the show in your hometown, Miles, of Las Vegas. Got to go see Kendrick Lamar and SZA, and it was it was quite a show.
It looked like the LA takeover out there, though. It was a bunch of LA people I seen posting about being out there.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of LA people that live in Vegas. I'm sure you've encountered that because you're from there.
All right, yeah, for sure. A lot of born and raised shirts out there.
Yeah, I did see a lot of that. It was really different from the last show that I saw, the last Kendrick Lamar show that I saw. It was, I guess because SZA. You know, I kind of feel a way about saying a lot because I know people don't want spoilers if they're still planning to go somewhere.
Was it just him and SZA?
Yeah, it was just him and SZA. And it was like 3 hours long.
Jeez.
It was a long show. I hadn't been to the Allegiant Stadium before in Las Vegas. And I think coming from LA, we're very spoiled because we're used to big shows and big crowds, and there's a level of expertise about getting people in and out and the crowd flows and just the stages and the way everything's set up. But I enjoyed it. It was good.
You got to enjoy the city. You didn't burn up and melt out there.
Oh my gosh. It was 113 degrees when we landed. And that's normal for y'all.
Like you said last week, we're going to have a heat wave this weekend, and don't die instantly. Like you're dragging it, Dominique. It's 112 in Vegas right now. So
I don't even understand that kind of heat. Luckily, it's not humid, so that makes it where you can handle it. But yeah, and you're right. There was a lot of LA, a lot of Latinos in the crowd too.
For sure.
Not that that's so unusual on the West Coast, but clearly he has cultivated quite Kendrick. And, people singing every single word, like every word to every song. Clearly, he's cultivated a very diverse crowd.
Any special guests pop out?
Doja Cat came out for a second. She's not one of my faves, but,
okay.
She was doing her Doja Cat thing with SZA.
Okay.
Yeah, so lots of sets and, special effects. Fire and, all that stuff. I guess we kind of expect that now from a stadium style show.
Did you get to hit the city afterwards?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit, yeah. It's Las Vegas. You can't just go there and sleep. It was, yeah, we had a fun time. But man, Las Vegas is like LA. It's just the development is moving so fast. And of course, I wonder about the locals, and the gentrification, because it seems like it's built up so much, and everyone's moving there. Well, kind of like Arizona for a while, Texas, the same thing. People moving, looking for cheaper cheaper sunshine, cheaper living. That's why I guess I find so many Angelenos there that I just wonder, well, you're from there, so I mean, with all these shiny new buildings and stuff, are the locals getting squeezed and pushed out? Are the prices going up? Like,
prices are definitely going up. It's not quite LA prices yet, but it's right there. I keep telling everybody who keeps saying they want to move to Vegas, we don't have no damn water in Vegas. There's a super drought. That's the super desert in Vegas. There's no water there. Why are we still building these huge buildings like we're going to have space and water for it? That's not going to work. So I know we're making room right there on the strip on the caddy corner to the Allegiant Stadium for the A's are going to be moving there in a year or two.
Yeah, I heard.
Oh, you know what I mean? We're going to have 3 stadiums in one. You know what I mean? It's not Inglewood. It's not LA. It's not built for that type of stuff. So we're going to have the MGM Grand, the Allegiant Stadium, the T-Mobile Arena, and the A's Arena, all in one, like, square mile of block. So with no parking.
Yeah.
And no water. So, yeah.
And a city that's not quite, I would say, used to that level of insanity, because you already have tons of people, the tourists, right, on the strip, and now you've got a concert. Just a lot going on. Right. But I enjoyed it, and like usual, I met a bunch of LA people who had moved there and were celebrating how inexpensive it is and how they don't have to pay as many taxes and all this. But, everything's a trade-off. I'll be here in LA. Let's go to Carl. I don't have a born and raised shirt because I was born in New York, but I like LA. And, I know it's expensive. I know it's hard, but I'm team stay and fight. Carl from LA, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Well, hey, if you got a couple of pensions and Social Security, veterans check, and own your home, I guess Los Angeles is the place to be.
Well, I don't have all that, Carl. What are you talking about? A couple of pensions? Yeah, for sure.
Hey, well, that's what you need to survive on here. I mean, here in Los Angeles.
Right, or you got to be rich, or have 3 jobs, which a lot of people do here.
Yeah. Hey, Dominique, maybe you could get Dr. Horn on the horn and have him describe what's going on down there in Haiti with Blackwater. They hired Blackwater down there to calm down the gangs down there. I mean, a privately owned company, military company, trying to calm down the situation down there. I don't see that ain't fair to me. Hey, but I see we got over here the mayor in Tulsa. He came through with the people to help him out with a start off to revise the city down there. No cash compensation, but $105 million they got in a trust that's going to be loaned out and handed out in certain ways to improve the city down there for the massacre that went down.
Yeah, the city's first black mayor. But, we'll explore some of that stuff with Dr. Melina Abdullah when she comes in. Remember, she's also a political scientist and a professor. But, of course, we'd like to have Dr. Horn, Dr. Gerald Horn, you're talking about, on all the time. Unfortunately, or fortunately, he has other jobs, so I can't just order him up every day. We can't get a Neuralink.
Yeah, well, I know
Elon Musk
Melina
Neuralink and just tap into his brain. That'd be great. But, yeah, I'm sure we have him coming up soon, and I'll be interested to hear what he has to say about that. I think it's going to be... his name is Monroe Nichols, the first black mayor of the city of Tulsa. And it's the project that you're referring to is called Road to Repair. It's meant to deal, it's like reparations, it's meant to deal with the aftermath of the Greenwood massacre, Greenwood attack on the black community there. And you're right, it's a private charitable trust. They want to raise $105 million. Partly from private contributions, and some public funding may be possible, property transfers. the idea is to have all that in place by next year on the anniversary of the attack. But the thing that I'm concerned about is this mayor, Monroe Nichols, coming on strong with reparations like this. What is in store for him? I mean, we look at the attack on black mayors that's already happening, right? Mayors that haven't made nearly as bold of steps as that. And I'm talking about the mayor of Chicago, the mayor of New York, who's a problem, but still, he's I'd say an independent, one of those independents that's really a Republican. But still, you look at the mayor of Jacksonville, my own brother, the mayor of Newark, being arrested by ICE. And then, of course, the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, being constantly under attack for really, if you break it down and look at it, very little. It just makes me wonder what this mayor has in store for him, since he's starting off with this huge reparations package as that city's first black mayor, and against the backdrop of the repeated rejection of any kind of restitution or reparation for those Greenwood survivors, right? By the state's Supreme Court, by the city itself. So far, they've received nothing other than private contributions. So while I commend the boldness of this plan, I'm wondering if it will be able to be fully executed and what the backlash will be. I mean, even if you look at federally, what the Republican administration on the national level, what the Trump administration is leveling at California, attack after attack. If you look at our, greening policies, the attacks on trans athletes, budgets for schools, trying to control the schools and their agendas, it just makes me wonder what this mayor may have. And I'm not saying he shouldn't have done it, by the way. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that he did. But I'm just wondering what he may have unleashed upon himself and the city of Tulsa with this MAGA moment that we are in. 800-920-1580. That's the number to call if you got something to say. That's what Carl did. Continuing the conversation, only right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-550-9651.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-550-9651. That's 800-550-9651.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Pastor and Mrs. William Sachs Epps on their retirement from stewardship at the historic Second Baptist Church. Dr. Epps has faithfully served Second Baptist as its senior pastor for 37 years. What a legacy of love and leadership. Pastor and Mrs. Epps will be honored at a luncheon on Saturday, July 26, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Universal City, and you're invited to attend. Noted scholar Dr. Michael Eric Dyson is the keynote speaker. For ticket information, please contact epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. That's epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. To Pastor Epps and First Lady Epps, congratulations from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station,
and your favorite morning show host.
Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
It is a Talking Point Tuesday, and when we come to the conversation about reparations, which has been rather robust on my social media these days, and I invite you guys to tap in. It's KBLA 1580 is our social media address. You can find me at diprimaradio, DIPRIMA, and then radio. When it comes to reparations, the biggest talking point that I always hear is we cannot afford it. We just don't have the money. So we find money for everything else, massive tax cuts for the rich, wars that seem to drag on forever for decades that are not even approved. The expenditures not even approved by our Congress, but yet we don't have money for reparations. That's one of the talking points. And when you look at the Tulsa model, what they're doing here, what they're setting out to do, they're going to private sources. Any city funding or city land use would have to be approved by the city council. So it may not happen because those council people are thinking about getting reelected. And just like Governor Newsom with his presidential aspirations, they are considering what a track record of having approved money or land to go to reparations, what it would do to their careers. That said, this model of, creating a fund using private sources is one way to work around that opposition from some members of the public. The courts have shown that most white people do not support reparations. If you look at my Instagram page, you will see the same, the people weighing in who are happy that the idea that black people don't need or deserve or are not warranted reparations due to the debt that is owed to us are mostly people you would classify as white. So there is a divide there, and I think this is one way of addressing it, is by mostly dealing with individual private dollars. However, I will say, because Carl had mentioned that there was no cash payments to the living descendants, not just the descendants, but the actual victims. There's a couple that are still alive, that are, centenarians, over 100 years old, who haven't gotten any, other than private donations, haven't gotten any redress. They were rejected by the Oklahoma Supreme Court in their lawsuit. But it could still happen. It could still happen. The last two survivors who were actually there are 110 and 111 years old. So one wonders if it would happen quickly enough. But it could happen if the Board of Trustees for that city trust were to vote to give them some kind of restitution. It could actually happen. Seems like a long shot, but it could happen. Those living survivors were there at the announcement Sunday, and although it's mostly, that money is mostly meant to restore the Greenwood area and try to build it up to what it could have or would have been had it not been attacked there could possibly be some payouts to those specific survivors and or their descendants. Of course, we're talking about the attack in 1921, and that federal report, which came out just before Joe Biden left office, they squeaked that one out of the Justice Department before it flipped over to the current administration. That federal report was very clear and specific in saying that the attack on Greenwood was an attack. What they called a coordinated military style attack, because remember, there was bombing from the air, and police, law enforcement officials backing up and reinforcing those citizens who were attacking black homeowners and business owners. The Justice Department report was clear that this was not just like a riot where a mob goes crazy and out of jealousy, anger, and racism burns down this neighborhood. It was well planned and executed with the support of military and law enforcement. And so they're looking at what the neighborhood could have been, what it should have been, and what justice looks like. Leslie Benenfield Randall and Viola Ford Fletcher, those are the two, the 110 and 111-year-old. Only Miss Randall was at Sunday's announcement with some of the other descendants. So clearly they support it. It's a sign of progress. And that's, to be celebrated, even with the peril that I mentioned. I think peril for that mayor. If you look at what happened in Evanston, where they actually started, they've been handing out checks for housing support. Again, what does we can't afford it mean? People, whether it's Evanston and they're funding theirs off of cannabis, or whether you're looking at Tulsa where they're taking money from the private sector, we can't afford what? Reparations doesn't have to be in one lump sum. It can be in payments. It can be addressing one aspect of, repair. It can be done in different creative ways and stages. So I think another thing to celebrate about the Tulsa model right now is the fact that it answers the question of we can't afford it, or the critique of we can't afford it, with a funding model that could include some public funds, but relies on foundations and individuals from the private sector. 800-920-1580. That's a debunking of a major talking point in the reparations movement. We can afford it. We'll find creative ways to afford it, and we'll do it incrementally and over time, like we do everything else. 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A Los Angeles County deputy has had his sentence reduced to 4 months in jail for using excessive force on an unarmed black woman outside of a grocery store in 2023. Activists are outraged.
What happened in there was not justice. We want him out of law enforcement. We want his badge and his gun snatched.
Deputy Trevor Kirk was originally charged with a felony and faced a maximum of 10 years in prison. A Chester, Pennsylvania officer is under investigation after video showed him punching a black man during an arrest. The man, Wayne Vick, was stopped for tinted windows and fled. The officer used a taser and multiple punches while Vick was on the ground. He's now on leave. And a daily cup of coffee may help women stay sharp and strong as they age. Harvard researchers tracked 50,000 women over 30 years and found coffee drinkers had better mental and physical health later in life. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
A pan comido or a piece of cake, no matter how you say it, you save at cheapoair.com/ES. The deals are fully translated in Spanish, so all you've got to do is scroll and save. With deals on up to 500 airlines worldwide. cheapoair.com/ES.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The New York Mets scored 2 runs in the 10th inning last night to beat the Dodgers 4-3. 23rd home run for Shohei Ohtani. Game 2 of the Mets-Dodgers 4-game series is tonight at Dodger Stadium. 3 homers and a 6-run first inning helped the Angels hold on for a 7-6 win at Boston. The Angels are 500 on the road at 17-17. The LA Sparks have a 5-day break before their next game at Dallas Friday night. They need the extra practice time. The Sparks are 2-6 in the WNBA and are struggling with a 3-game losing streak. They haven't been above 500 since June 14, 2023. The Oklahoma City Thunder are 9-point favorites over the Indiana Pacers in Game 1 Thursday night in the NBA Finals. Before the season, the Pacers were 50-1 odds to win the NBA championship. If somebody made that bet, they are looking at a major payday if the Pacers win the title. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thank you. I do thank you. Look, our KBLA 4th anniversary is almost here. That's going to be Juneteenth. And this is what, June 3rd? Yeah, so it's right around the corner, a couple weeks away. Seating at all 4 of our special events is getting tight. It's filling up. And we want you to register if you're planning to come. You want to come celebrate with us 4 different spectacular events. So if you want to come, all you have to do is go to KBLA1580.com and sign up for whatever event you're planning to come to. If you're going to be at our barbecue on the 19th for our actual Juneteenth anniversary, and we're asking you to bring a food gift card of any amount for a restaurant or a chain store or whatever you can, for those people of Altadena, the victims of the Altadena Eden Fire who are still struggling, still not settled. And there are quite a few of them, sadly. We're grateful for whatever you can bring to help out those families. They're still displaced by the wildfires. We want you to go to KBLA1580.com. You can sign up for that party, sign up for the climate justice conversation on C-SPAN, which is going to be hosted by Tavis Smiley, or the State of Black Women in LA, hosted by me, and of course the Empowerment Congress. All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so don't forget to register. We don't want you to be left out. 800-920-1580. It is a Talking Point Tuesday. Now let's go to Fahima calling us from Washington, D.C. Good morning, Fahima.
Baragani and K. Pasa, Dominique. How are you today, my good sister?
I'm blessed. How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I just want to say, I think part of the problem that gives rise to even the pushback from the white supremacists who are anti-reparations is the way it's being framed. And if you look at situations where there has been progress with reparations, they were individual situations like, Georgetown, Evanston, Illinois, Palm Springs, California. But when people say slavery for reparations, it allows these folks to give pushback. I mean, I'm sure you've heard that recently Harvard settled the case where they had artifacts of people's ancestors, and it's individual. What they're like? Okay, Ta-Nehisi Coates has outlined the vast amount of harms, and as you know, the debt has outlined the massive amount of harms. But when people say slavery for reparations, it allows these white supremacists the ability to say, well, there are no slaves alive and there are no slave masters still alive. And so I think that we should make sure that we frame this appropriately. For example, I recently confirmed that during Jim Crow era, women in Louisiana were placed in prison with men, and they were, of course, impregnated. And those children at the age of 10 were auctioned off, and the revenue were used to fund schools for white children. So these are horrific things that can be documented, and you can find the actual people who were harmed or their descendants, as it was the case in the Georgetown situation. And I think that that's part of the problem, how it's being framed.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Georgetown, you're talking about the university where they actually sold people to pay off their debt.
Right.
And then, starting to give very specific reparation to the descendants of those actual persons. But when you're saying slavery for reparations, you're talking about the linking of reparations directly and only to the enslavement of our ancestors in this country. And as the California Task Force report clearly sets out, it's not just that. It's Jim Crow. It's the subsequent harms and badges all the way up until today. And so I think that's an important point on a Talking Point Tuesday, because when we discuss reparations, if we allow it to be only isolated to our enslavement, it does make that argument more logical. Well, I never owned slaves, and I shouldn't, the sins of the father, blah, blah, blah. And not everybody owned slaves. Yeah, that's true. Well, the American people also did not perpetuate the Holocaust, nor did the American people lock up the Japanese in internment camps, concentration camps. The government did it, but all of us. Nor did the people of the United States shoot and kill these police officers, where we're paying out people. nor did they shoot and kill the people that police officers have shot and killed, but we all pay it off because we're part of a common group. That's what our taxes do. They pay for the things that are mandated by the commons. And so I think it's a really important point when we talk about reparations, and one that's been made more in official circles than in everyday people circles. It's not just about slavery. In fact, if you took slavery out of it, it would still be a debt that's owed.
Yeah, and last point, and this is not to put governments off the hook, because as I mentioned, in Louisiana, where they were auctioning off the children of women who children were conceived in prison to fund the public schools. That was the government. When they denied education, when Brown versus Board of Education was passed and they closed the school and denied education to black people, that was the government. And so that's not to let the government off the hook, but it's not an issue of, well, it's just reparations for slavery. And I'll just land there. We just have to be careful how we frame it and not allow white supremacists the wiggle room to articulate this: there are no slaves alive and there are no slave masters alive. And I'll just land there. And thank you for allowing me to make my comment. I missed you yesterday, but I hope you had fun.
I did, and thank you. Yeah, that's a good point, because I've even had a conversation with somebody off the air, a rather heated conversation about reparations based on what's going on my Instagram. and also, by the way, on TikTok. Same thing, diprimaradio, Dominique DiPrima. I have 2 TikTok accounts now. But when we finally got to the point of it's not just slavery, it's Jim Crow, it's the discrimination within programs like the GI Bill, where we actually didn't get those loans at all, and the housing that went with them, even though people served in the military, black people served in the military just like everybody else. It's the housing covenants that kept us out of certain areas. It's the health care and discrimination and education discrimination. Then I was able to get a little bit of movement to where that person said, okay, well, if we're looking at things that aren't just slavery, I'd be willing to look at that. And at the same time, Fahima, I think white supremacists and people who are categorically opposed to reparation are always going to come up with another argument. So on the one hand, I agree. It's important we frame it correctly, that we're clear on what is being repaired and why. And the California Task Force report gives us a strong framework for that. But on the other hand, we can't be stopped by these arguments because they're always going to come up with another reason, right? There are no slaves and no slave masters alive. Okay. That's one talking point. We can't afford it is another talking point. I think I was just debunking that one for today. I shouldn't be responsible for the sins of the father, even though I get the benefits of the father. Most people didn't own slaves. I mean, there's a constant line of talking points. It's divisive. That's another big one. It's divisive. And looking at that debate on the social media, which has also been erupting on this show, I mean, a lot of that debate is coming from clips of this show that were placed on social media. It's that people, the white folks, or people that designate themselves as white, or are designated so by society, are talking about how we don't need reparations. It's divisive. We all need to be as one. Y'all need to stop designating yourself as black. But there's very little discussion about them giving up the title of white, the badge of white. And so you say you have no white privilege, but you're still going to keep calling yourself white. and clinging to this idea of making America great again and smashing DEI and continuing to make sure that that you don't have to compete on a truly level playing field. So those talking points have to come with a big grain of salt and the determination that we continue to work for progress on reparations, justice, and all these other areas that we have to fight for simultaneously. And yes, we continue to fight the narrative and make sure that the talking points are right and that we're framing things correctly, but we also have to have the determination to get through endless excuses, justifications, and reasons why we don't deserve the payment on the debt which we are clearly owed by America, having built it into a world superpower. Fahima called me at 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. You can do the same. I've got an update on that former Deputy Trevor Kirk, the Winco case, where the Trump administration downgraded those charges. As Attorney Kerry Harper said, it ain't over. I'll tell you what I mean by that when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Hi, I'm LA City Councilman Curran Price, inviting you to join us on Saturday, June the 14th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. as we cut the ribbon on the brand new Enel Woods Park at 8703 South McKinley Avenue. Thanks to a generous donation from Heal the Bay, the park features smart irrigation, stormwater capture systems, and space for local wildlife to thrive. And we've built a walking trail, picnic areas, native landscaping, and quiet spaces for families to gather, relax, and connect. This is part of a much larger effort to expand green spaces across South LA with 3 new parks in the works, a first-of-its-kind community center coming soon, and plans to connect it all through the South LA Greenway. So mark your calendar for Saturday, June 14th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and come celebrate a greener, stronger South LA at Enel Woods Park. I'm also pleased to sponsor the Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium, moderated by Tavis Smiley, live on C-SPAN, Wednesday, June the 18th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Just a reminder to sign up right away at the KBLA1580.com website to join me, Mayor Karen Bass, Congresswoman Sidney Kamlager Dove, Tennessee State Representative Justin Pearson, Dr. Cornel West, former Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., the Sierra Club's Ben Jealous, and other black influencers in the climate and health fields as we continue to amplify the connection between climate and poor health outcomes for our people. Thank you for listening. I'm Councilman Curran Price.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD. But did you know that black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? You may be able to reduce your risk by managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, being physically active, eating healthy, and exercising your mind. To learn more about AD, the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, and a potential treatment option, visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back and welcome in 800-920-1580. Usually on a Talking Point Tuesday, we're looking local for the first hour, looking left coast. And the issue of reparations has been an important and constant one for us. We do Freedman Friday every Friday to talk about progress and such, partly because California has been so much at the forefront of this issue, putting up the first task force in the nation with the state, which was, of course, created through a bill that was passed by then Assemblywoman Shirley Weber, who's now Dr. Shirley Weber, who's now the Secretary of State for our state. And so tracking it as much as we can in other states and cities, there's over 70 different task forces. So that's always national and local all at once. If you have time, or you want to get inspired and encouraged, I encourage you to go to oag.ca.gov, OAG for Office of the Attorney General, .ca.gov, and you can find the full 1,200-page report there. You can also find a 60-page executive summary. I think it's about 60 pages. And you can also see the City of Los Angeles reparations report at LA Civil Rights. LA Civil Rights, I think it's .org. Just type in LA Civil Rights Department. It'll come up once you get to the website. Navigate to that report. That report is still awaiting final, which goes to the City Council, which then the City Council votes on the recommendations and what they want to actually implement. But the report itself is a gem and full of information you may have not known about the City of Los Angeles. So we've been speaking a lot on the case of Deputy Trevor Kirk, who was convicted by a jury of his peers for police brutality, for brutalizing this senior citizen, a black woman, threw her down on the ground, punched her and sprayed her, and he was found guilty of a felony. He was facing 10 years in prison, up to 10 years. Obviously, could have been less. Now, we talked about this before, in case you missed it. The Trump administration brought in their attorney, Bill Asaley, who's a former fake reparationist assembly member. And one of the first things he did was downgrade the charges for Trevor Kirk, who had been offered a plea deal, rejected it, then went on to be convicted. And basically what they did is they found a way to finagle a post-conviction plea deal, convinced a judge to downgrade his charges from felony to misdemeanor, meaning he could go back and be a cop again. Reportedly, he does have a job offer out, and he'll be able to own a gun again and will probably not serve any jail time at all. So, and this is after a settlement was reached, by the way, where I don't know the amount, but there was a substantial amount awarded in this settlement to the victim. She was represented by Attorney Carrie Harper. Attorney Harper's been on the show talking about the case, urging people to go to court. The courtroom has been packed with deputies who are standing behind this deputy's right to throw a black woman to the ground and punch her in the face. Amazing that they can do this with no shame, but that's what they've been doing. Mad dogging the attorney in court, yelling at her. You heard James Farr talking about that. He was in court for one of those days. Well, now, Attorney Harper writes on her Instagram, Harper for Justice, "Dear former LASD Deputy Trevor Kirk, while you and your friends were laughing in court this morning during your sentencing for a misdemeanor when the jury found you guilty of felony deprivation of civil rights, the law offices of Carrie Harper was hard at work filing a writ of mandamus to the Ninth Circuit Court for Appeals, and the Ninth was listening." So there will be an appeal. There will be an appeal, which means we could still see this overturned. And maybe it is and maybe it's not, right? That'll be up to the court. Hell, it could go all the way to the extreme court. But the thing about it is It's not being normalized. And I think when people like Attorney Kerry Harper do such as that, they deserve credit, because it would be easy to just say, well, I've already got the money for my client. I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't need the aggravation. I don't have the time. No one's paying me for this. But Attorney Harper is standing on the side of justice and saying, we need accountability. The U.S. attorney can't just overturn these charges without answering to a higher court and just say, okay, we're going to give you a post-conviction plea deal. Why would any officer of the law ever take a plea deal or accept responsibility and accountability for what they've done if they know the Trump administration is just going to come in and give them a post-conviction deal so that they don't have to abide by either the fact that they turned away that deal at the beginning or the fact that a jury of their peers found sufficient evidence to convict of a felony. Well, now this will go before the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and it will live to fight another day on this issue. And I think that is spectacular and important, and it's a reminder, as we were reminded by Judge Maybelline Ephraim on this show not long ago, about the important role that civil rights attorneys have been playing for decades in protecting our rights, in securing our civil rights and our human rights in this country. And some are stepping up. Some will continue to step up. Yeah, it's true that there were plenty of law firms that rolled over and played ball with the Trump administration, donating $1 million here, $1 million there, or tens of millions in pro bono legal work for causes of the president's liking. But there are also people fighting back, and that's important. There are Attorney Kerry Harpers, there are Attorney Letitia James, and I'm not even saying they're all black, by the way, but those were the first two examples that came to mind. I mean, the ACLU is fighting furiously. There are people that are not going along with this Project 2025 attack on our rights. The anti-blackness that is being displayed right now with gleeful abandon by law enforcement, by educational institutions, this preemptive surrender, which I always talk about, people surrendering to the Trump administration, to this new Confederate Republican agenda, because they feel protected. They feel like they have immunity, like President Trump. You ain't him. He's one of a kind. He's one of one. And so in this environment, it's important to remember that not everybody's giving up and giving in. And you can be one of the ones that history will look back on and said, he or she never rolled over. He or she fought for justice and what was right, even when it wasn't convenient to do so. 800-920-1580, that's the number. It's a Talking Point Tuesday on KBLA Talk 1580.
1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A Los Angeles County deputy has had his sentence reduced to 4 months in jail for using excessive force on an unarmed black woman outside of a grocery store in 2023. Activists are outraged.
What happened
is a maximum of 10 years in prison. A Chester, Pennsylvania officer is under investigation after video showed